Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Today we have on Momentum Chrome browser, we have Crete in Greece, which looks rather splendid.
Yes, big sky, nice deep blue.
And lots of rocks.
And the message that you would approve of. You are a human with one life and it's up to you to make it the best life you can.
Yes, that's a very good one. I like that a lot. I watched it's completely off topic, but I watched a TED talk today about having a good death, and it was very moving and very positive, and I enjoyed it enormously. Someone in the High Performing Women group shared it.
Okay, well, we don't want to anticipate that too soon, of course.
No, I know, but her point was it could happen at any minute, and you need to live in the moment, because it could happen at any minute.
There is that, yes.
Yeah, it was good. So tell me about your week.
I've had a busy week. I've done 8 one-to-one clients and 3 90-minute SBDM groups since I saw you last.
Gosh.
I had a little surge of, I'm having a renaissance, little surge of interest, a complete stranger who could possibly only have found me via Google, because I got an email saying, could we have a conversation, and giving me a mobile number. I mean, really, like that's going to happen. I emailed back and said, I do these on Skype, book yourself in, no strings attached. If you've got a website or business plan, please send it to me. And she emailed me her business plan immediately. And it's, by that time I'd already Googled her mobile number and discovered that she had a business. And I thought, I don't really know anything about that. But the business plan came on, typically for an entrepreneur, on a different topic, so far removed. It wasn't possible, but I do know a little bit about the second one, so that's rather good. So I've got 4 really nice, interesting, juicy clients going through the pipeline, either coming up to discovery calls or they've had discovery calls. I had a good pay what you want month in April, and I woke up this morning, you're going to like this, on 2 counts, to the best testimonial I've ever received.
Oh, wow.
From somebody who so far has only had a discovery call, but the testimonial begins with, this is my favourite thing, I've been on your list since 2008.
2008? What's that, 8 years?
9.
9 years. Oh my word, we've just got no idea, have we?
Well, good job I haven't withered on the vine. I'm still here available for wedding, still available for weddings and bar mitzvahs.
Weddings, funerals and bar mitzvahs, that's right.
Yes.
Oh my God. Anything else about your week? That's good.
I was going to say, on top of that, clients have had some nice wins, clarity breakthroughs, or opportunities to do exciting things that we've all gone wow about. So it's been a good, busy, upbeat, happy, positive week. How about you?
Oh, great. Well, it's been a disorientating week for me because I came back from Greece last week and went to Irving's for the weekend. And then I was due to move on to one of Nelson's friends' mums, which I did, which is in Shoreham. And they were away in Wales, and I got there, and he was very welcoming, Nelson's friend, and it was a very nice room, and it was in a nice part of Shoreham and everything, so it was all good. But the broadband just wasn't up to the job. Basically, the broadband was one of these ones that is just like a domestic one for a smart TV, really. None of these people use broadband at all. It is something they just use on their phones occasionally. And the minute Theo's friends turned up, it ate up all the broadband.
Yeah.
So, and you don't realise how much you rely on it, especially when you're when you're travelling, because it's your entertainment as well as your work. So Theoretically, I could have worked during the day there just about. But the minute anyone came in and their phone took up any space, I couldn't get online. So there was no way of watching any TV on my iPad or laptop, no way of working out of office hours. And I do occasionally answer, because I've got a membership site and there's clients from all around the world. They do occasionally ask me a question out of hours, and if I'm free, I'll answer it. So I couldn't work basically at all outside the hours, the hours of sort of 9 and 5. So
have you had to move house?
Yes, I have had a conversation with my ex-husband Irving, who I've done a bit of a deal with him. He had a bit of a conversation with his girlfriend Jo, and he did a bit of a deal with her. So he's moved at least for a week. I'm living at Irving's again, and there's only 3 weeks where I'm not actually going travelling around. So it was only sort of 3 weeks that I had to find accommodation for, and it's lovely to be with the kids. So it's wonderful that he's willing to do that. And so I'm in his room. He's up at his girlfriend's, and all's well with the world on the broadband front.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing.
When's your first trip away? When are you going away?
Another couple of weeks yet, and then I start on my grand tour of England.
Can you stay at Irving's until you go, is my question, or have you got to find somewhere else to go?
No, he's gonna see how it goes. He doesn't spend this much time with his girlfriend apart from when they're on holiday, and they have just come back from 2 weeks in Vietnam and Cambodia, so they got on quite well, I think. So it's not so bad. But then after that, I'll be able to stay here at weekends and then go travelling around the country during the week. So he'll be able to come back here. And the other thing is, business is booming. I'm getting regularly sales of my Be Everywhere Online course. It's to complete strangers, Judith, which is the exciting thing. But some of them are not coming from Facebook ads. They're coming from the actual activity of being everywhere online, which is interesting. Yay. Yeah. So it only works.
Yeah.
What else have I done? I did a podcast recording with a gentleman in Australia who, again, his researcher can only have come across me by, Googling. He says she Googles to find people. So I had a complete conversation with a nice stranger in the Gold Coast. And that's it, really. It's been a good week.
Okay, good.
What's fueled your fire?
Well, this week, this is going to sound like a strange thing, but this week has been a week, not for me, but for all of my clients, of feelings. So I relish helping people manage their emotions, and it's been a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings, not easy conversations for my clients, but important ones for me. And I'm perfectly happy for my clients to cry on me. It doesn't do anything at all. I'm quite at ease with it. So we've had a lot of confusion, frustration, overwhelm, exhaustion, sadness, disappointment, anger, fear, feeling unsettled, and people who present with things that look like money but are actually about emotions underneath. And there's a colleague I'm working very closely with at the moment who's got an expression that's really useful in circumstances like this, because all feelings overwhelm us, is let's just do what's in front of us. That's my saying of the week. Let's just do what's in front of us. So instead of worrying about the past or worrying about the future, what one thing can we do today? And it may be that all we do today is we have a conversation with me about the feelings. We feel better at the end of it. And now we're knackered, so we need to have a lie down for a bit. But let's just do what's in front of us today. And for me, how this fuels my fire is, I love it. I love emotions and feelings. I've spent 25 years trying to understand myself, and to be available to help clients work through and with their own is just joyful work for me.
Yeah, well, it's the work. I was reading a conversation on Facebook about what is a coach in one of the internet marketing groups. So a lot of them were thinking that a coach is a mentor, but actually a coach is someone who helps you access your deepest feelings, sort them out, deal with them, and move past them, through them, around them, isn't it? You can't be a successful business person without getting to grips with this stuff.
Well, I don't know that we want to be too prescriptive about what is a coach. I let my clients use me in any way they see fit.
Yeah, but the really big work, and that's probably why you've been seeing so many breakthroughs this week, is the really big work is the personal development work. Someone described entrepreneurship as the biggest personal development learning curve ever.
Well, and the funny thing is that actually quite a lot of these emotions are not related to their work. They're in other areas of their lives. But it means that their work is on hold until we can sort out a way through all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're quite apologetic. Do you mind if I don't want to use my whole session on this, but do you mind if we talk about this for a bit? And only once we've talked about that, and they've had a little cry and they've parked it, can we actually talk about, is there anything you can do in your business today or this week in those circumstances? Sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't.
Yeah. And sometimes just talking about it, getting it out of your head. I mean, that's why journaling's so good if you don't have a coach, isn't it? Because you can get it out of your head and just park it somewhere else, and then your brain gets to work dealing with it.
I think understanding and coping with our emotions is a life's work.
It is. And it was interesting because I found this week, a few years ago, I don't know, 10 years ago, I suppose, this would have been a disaster for me. I'd have been in a right old state. Coming back, thinking I had somewhere to stay and then not having somewhere to stay and having to change my plans and everything. But I obviously, because it had a good outcome, that helps. I actually felt quite unemotional about all of it, whereas before I'd have been a right old princess and in a right old state.
Interestingly, let's just do what's in front of us. In that example, is find somewhere that I can operate from.
Yeah, just for the next week, even not even needing to know the certainty of what's after that. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. So that's you've really got your teeth. You really had a good week of it. I like dealing with emotions, and I've cried a couple of times actually, where in unexpected places, where a client told me a story of something that had happened to him that made him. It was a surprise to us both, and I was the one that ended up in tears there because I was just so sad that something like that had happened to him. And but the point is, I don't know what the words are to describe this, but it makes my work even more interesting because, of course, emotions are fascinating. Yeah, and they're evergreen. They're not going away anytime soon, are they?
No, they're not. They're not, though. And actually, other things, saying that, I don't think I would give the same advice, forever on any of these topics. You know what I mean? So if they'd asked me, they presented these a year ago or in a year hence, my response might be different. It's where I'm at the time. And I think that is the beauty of a relationship with a coach, is it's two human beings relating their life experience and in a way of hoping to reach an understanding and a place where the client feels better.
Yeah, and that's why people are attracted to some coaches at some point and other coaches at another point. You tend to move through coaches, don't you, in your life? And a good coach knows that and doesn't want to cling on to you forever.
Oh no! I mean, it's sad when clients go, but yeah. I like to release them and graduate. And when people do go, it opens up spaces for new relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it would we all get a bit bored, wouldn't we?
It would be stale. Tell me what's fueled your fire.
I'm reading a new book. It's From Impossible to Inevitable: How Hypergrowth Companies Create Predictable Revenue. And it's by Aaron Ross, the bloke who wrote Predictable Revenue, which I think is one of the top 10 books on business ever. And it's just a really great, that book's really great. This book, I'm not really into it just yet, but I'm starting to enjoy it now. I'm interested to know why I'm even remotely interested, because I'm not trying to build a business quickly like clicks and leads, and I've got no desire to do that. So I don't know what drew me to this. I think it was just the fact that you can do things quickly. I think you've always said that things can happen quickly, and things do happen quickly once you get your head straight. But I'm just interested to know how to grow my membership site, I think. And that is something that could grow quite big. So, yeah, that's what I'm reading. It's by Aaron Ross.
Okay. I see it's published by Wiley.
Yeah, they do all the good books, don't they? All the good business books.
Well, you pay. You go into partnership with Wiley.
Really?
And you pay to buy 10,000 copies of your own book.
I didn't know that at all. I thought they were one of the good publishers.
That doesn't make them a bad publisher. I'm just saying it's interesting that he's, I don't know what, it's not self-publishing, but it's a hybrid between being published and self-publishing.
He did self-publish Predictable Revenue initially. I remember reading that in one of his books. It's the co-author is Jason Lemkin, Lemkin. And I'm really enjoying it, and I'll tell you more about it next week when I'm deeper into it, if I've learnt anything.
Would you like to showcase your business, product or service to between 400 to 600 highly engaged solopreneurs and business owners every week? We can offer a 30-second mid-roll slot and sponsorship branding on our website and in our private Facebook group. Just contact Nicola at nicolacairncross.com for more details.
Now, client challenge of the week. I thought we could do the Instagram thing.
Okay, good.
If you're up for it.
Yes, I am up for it. And I'll just, before you start, I'll tell you something I learned from my 0800 call this morning from a lady who told me that she'd been to a consultation yesterday with a couple of people in their 60s who were marketing experts in the food industry, and they just bought a business which is turning over significant sums of money a month. I'm not going to tell you what it's in. But the whole business, she said, you'll be surprised to know, Judy, that the whole business was built on Instagram. And I went, no, I wouldn't be surprised to know that. So how on topic?
Well, absolutely. And the reason that it's come to the top of my mind this week is because I experienced a few weeks ago a drop in likes. I went from everything
Sorry, hang on. Likes where?
Okay, on Instagram. So I was putting pictures up and memes and things like that, and I was regularly getting sort of 150 to 200 likes, people liking and commenting. Now, I'll talk about automation in a minute, but then it dropped very suddenly, and I was only getting 20 or 30 likes, and I thought, oh, something's happened here, and I'm not sure what it is. And Sarah came across an article about shadow banning, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, because it had happened to me. And so I want to show people, I want to just talk through, I've got 12 tips and 2 warnings. And so I want to take people through how best to do Instagram, and then 2 things not to do to avoid this shadow banning thing.
All right, before you start, presumably you've written these down so you could email them to me.
I have written them down, yes, I could, yes.
All right,
yes.
Good. In that case, I'm just going to listen, I'm not going to take notes.
Okay, all right. So Instagram's an interesting beast. It's one of the only ones that you can't automate in the way that you can't really use things like Hootsuite. You can't. It's something you have to largely do from your mobile phone, and in a way,
and
that's good.
Why do you think they've done that, Nicola?
Because they don't want it ruined by marketers. You know the expression, marketers ruin everything?
No, I don't actually, but that's interesting.
Yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk always says marketers ruin everything. So marketers come along and they figure out how to use a platform and how to twist it and how to use tools and how to generally exploit it. And Instagram have been very good. They've kept it it started out very picture orientated. So all of the pictures were beautiful. People didn't ever put much words with them. It was a way of showing off your photography, and then it became a way of showing off your products and services in a beautiful way.
Slow down a bit, take a breath. I can tell you're excited.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, this was one of the reasons that I wasn't very good on Instagram for a while, because I'm not great on a mobile phone. I barely, I use it a lot better now. I've got a 6 Plus because it's bigger, but I wasn't very good at using apps. So it was only when I started I found out that you can use a thing called grum.co, GRUM.co, to post Instagram pictures and comments and hashtags from your desktop. So that made life a lot easier for me, because fumbling about, and the other thing is, when you're trying to do it on your mobile, if you want to put a set of hashtags on, you have to have those on your notes, for example, on your notes document on your mobile, and then you have to swap backwards and forwards, and it's not easy to share things, it's not easy to repost things. If you see something you like, you can't just hit a button and say repost to my account. So it was very unintuitive for me and awkward. But then Grum came along and I thought, oh, that's pretty good. So now I can sit at my desktop and I can post pictures and I can put my hashtags in, and I can do it a lot easier during the daytime. So I started to use it. And I started to get some good traction. And Phoebe and I signed up for an Instagram domination course. And some of the things I'm going to tell you are from that. The tips I would say is start posting things you like. Don't mix it up. Don't just post all motivational quotes. Don't just do all memes. Put bits of your personal story. And some of this advice is you've heard it all before on other social media platforms. Don't make it all about your business. People want to see a bit of an insight into your life as well. There's a tool called Canva, Canva.com, and you can go and you can use their backgrounds, or you can use your own pictures of backgrounds, and you can put text over the top and quotes and things. That's nice, but don't overdo it because it doesn't look real, like a real account. Your profile is very important. Put your main hashtag in your profile. So, for example, if the main hashtag you want to target is entrepreneur, then put that in your profile. The other thing you need to know about your profile and Instagram is that it's the only place you can put a live link. So what Phoebe does is, for example, is every time she puts a new video up, she'll create a meme, post it on Instagram and all our other social media, and she says in the word bit of it, new video up, she puts what it's about, and then she says link in my profile. And that means that everybody knows that if they go to her profile, which is one click, then they click the link in the profile, it will take them directly to the thing that she's just posted about. So
because you can't do that in the post itself.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's an easy way to do it. You just have to remember to every time you want to send people to a specific place, change the link in your profile.
Okay.
You can have up to now hashtags is where most people aren't using Instagram properly. You can have up to 30 hashtags, but you don't want them in the description of the picture. You want to put 1 or 2 in the description of the picture maximum, and you want to have a sets of hashtags ready to go in your notes. Now, Notes is an application that most mobile phones have got, and if you have a document called Instagram hashtags, it will sync with your computer. So if you've got a notes document, you'll be able to access it from your laptop, from your iPad, and from your mobile phone, and have, say, 4 sets of Instagram hashtags, say, have 25 in each, and do some research about the obscure hashtags that people are using who get a lot of traction in your niche. So, for example, if I wanted to post something about predictable revenue, I could have 25 hashtags that are all around entrepreneur, business, startup, finance, business finance, whatever. Try and stay away from one-word hashtags because you'll be competing with lots of other people. But if you then go to Instagram and put in your one-word hashtag, say entrepreneur, it will show you the top performing Instagram posts in that niche. And you'll be able to then go and look at their hashtags and see what they're using, and you'll come up with lots of 2 or 3 word hashtags. They haven't got any spaces in between them, they're all just run together, but it'll give you some really good obscure hashtags to use, which will give you less competition for your posting. And hashtags is how the whole Instagram finding thing works. So people will have their favourite hashtags they go and search just to see what's new on that topic. So dogs of Instagram is a good hashtag. I mean, if you're doing dog stuff, if you're doing animal stuff, if you're doing interiors, if you're doing business, I would have 4 different sets of hashtags ready to go. But then each time you put a new picture, you copy and paste the 25 hashtags as the first comment after your Instagram post. Do it straight away, otherwise someone else will make a comment first. And then add 5 hashtags that are specifically related to the content of the picture, not just a generic hashtag. So if, for example, I was posting about working on the beach in Greece, I would have all the Greek hashtags, I would have all the entrepreneur hashtags, I'd have all the digital nomad hashtags, but then I would also have 5 or 6 or 10 hashtags that relate specifically to the content of the picture.
And they'd be in different places. They'd be in different places.
No, all the hashtags are together in the first comment after your picture. And the good thing about doing...
so you copied and pasted the 25 and you've left 5 for the other ones you just talked about.
Yeah, the ones that are specific to the picture.
Post, okay. You have them last or first?
It doesn't matter really.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but always have one hashtag in the description of what the picture's about. You know, it's called a caption, the wordy bit that goes with the picture. Yep. Okay, so change 5% each time. Always do some content with your picture. Long form content works really well. So, for example, I'm doing memes, which are quotes from my book, mindset, marketing and money, and I'm just taking out a little part of the story where the quote comes from. So I'm picking out a good quote, and then I'm getting, I think you've got 2,000 characters, which isn't very much. It's like a couple of big paragraphs, and I'm putting the story from the story with the meme in the content part of it, because you get, you seem to get a lot of traction if you have some good words next to your picture as well that people can read. Right, now here's the thing, do one for everything. So if you've got a new blog post out, go and make a meme on Canva, put it on Instagram, and put the first 2 paragraphs of the blog post and then link to the blog post in your profile. Do one for every time you put up a new video. Do one every time you put a new podcast episode up. Do one for every, and have some set ones. For example, if you've got a product or service or a webinar or an event or a book, rotate that regularly, not too often, so that, it's not in I would say every sort of 10 or 12 pictures, remind people of your products and services. And the other thing is, don't overfollow. It's like Twitter. If you get a good ratio that you're following, it's like 1 to 2 or 3. So if you're following 10 people, make sure you've got at least 20 people following you before you add any more of the people you're following. Keep your following count lower than your followers count.
Yep.
And what that does is it triggers all the people that are using automation out there. They will come along and follow you because you look like an influencer, and a lot of them will unfollow you again because their software's set to do it, but some of them won't. So you'll be steadily growing your following by keeping your ratio right.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people are using automation. Do not be tempted. Instagram are slapping everybody at the moment who's using Instagress and things like that. These are automation softwares. Do it manually. It's much better to have a smaller amount of followers, but real ones who followed you because you're creating great content and you're hashtagging well, rather than have thousands and thousands of followers who don't interact with you. And the other tip is if someone comments, you're going to get a lot of junk comments. Just ignore the junk comments. But if someone comments and actually makes a decent comment that could be a real person, reply to them. Treat it like, you would Twitter or Facebook. And the 2 warnings are, if you see a sudden drop in your numbers, so say, for example, you go like I did from over 100 likes for things to 20, it means your account's been shadow banned, which means it's not been banned, but Instagram are not showing your picture on some of your hashtags you've chosen. Now, it might be a blanket ban on your account, so you're just not getting shown to many people at all, or it might be they've only banned you for one hashtag. And there is a website you can go to find out if this happens, and it's shadowban.azurewebsites.net, but I'll send you the link over, Judith. Mm-hmm. And basically you put your Instagram username in, and it will take a look at your last post, and it will tell you if you've been banned for any of the hashtags you've used on that last post.
Okay.
So I had one where it was a meme, and I'd been banned for a lot of the hashtags I was using on it. Now, it doesn't mean I'm banned for life. It just means that they're watching me to see if I'm a spam account. And what I did to stop it was just stop using so many hashtags. I started doing all my hashtags manually. I wasn't copying and pasting any. And I'm back for some of my key phrases like entrepreneur, startup and hustle, where I had been banned before. They weren't showing my posts to those hashtags.
I don't understand why they would think that the choice of those 3 hashtags might denote that you are...
Because there's lots of people with who are trying to grow their accounts fast who are using automation, and those are the kind of hashtags they're targeting.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So if you're in the orchid growing thing, you probably won't be as likely to be shadow banned for any hashtags as if you're in the entrepreneur, startup, make money online. It's the same old things, really.
Yeah. Okay.
So don't worry if your numbers drop. You can retrieve it. It doesn't mean that you've been banned across all your hashtags. It just means perhaps you're not being shown for some of the bigger ones. But you can, mixing.
Was that?
Go on.
Go. You go.
I was just saying, mixing up your content seems to help a lot. If I go to some accounts sometimes when people comment on my things, and all I can see is inspirational memes on dark backgrounds with blokes and fast cars. It's so obviously a spam account and not a real person.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps to mix up your personal photos with the stuff that you're trying to promote.
And are you Nicola Cairncross? So should we go and look at you to see how to do it well?
You could do, yes, Nicola Cairncross, that'd be good. And Phoebe
Right.
Soramikan, my daughter, is doing it well as well.
You said 2 warnings, but you've only given us one, the one about shadow banning.
Yeah, it was about not using automation.
Okay.
Don't be tempted. It's so tempting because we all want everything fast and, to grow. I mean, I'm the worst for this, wanting to use stuff that makes life easier. So the thing is, with all your other social media, you can largely automate it. So, for example, you can make things go out to most things from your blog when you put a new blog post up. A lot of things can be linked up with Zapier, Zapier, where you can say, if I put a new Instagram picture up, share it onto my Twitter account. Actually, you can do that from Instagram, and you can share it onto your Facebook and get one of your Facebook things from within Instagram. So you can just hit the button, say, yeah, share to Twitter, share to Facebook profile. But you can't do it to everywhere. Whereas if you put your meme and your words on your blog on a blog post, you could set it up to go everywhere except Instagram. So what I'm doing is I'm doing automation for everything except Instagram, and I'm using Instagram because it has to be done really on a mobile, most easily on a mobile. I do it on Grum on my desktop, but I look at it as a way of getting away from the computer. Let's go and sit in the sunshine and do some Instagramming, because it's quite creative. It's quite fun.
Okay.
And like I say, don't worry about your followers. Just make sure that you've got more people following you than you're following, and you'll eventually build an account.
Okay.
Food goes very well. Flat pictures. Sarah Newton does it very well. If it was Sarah Newton, I think it's just Sarah Newton. She does it really nicely. She does, they're called flat lay pictures, where you're taking a picture from directly above. And you see it a lot in food accounts and interior accounts. And she does tea trays, breakfast trays and things. She's got this thing about trays, food, nice food, cake and tea pots and lovely china on flat lay trays.
Okay.
Travel does really well, beautiful pictures of places. Fashion does really well. Anything that's visual. But you can make anything visual if you're inventive enough.
Yeah.
So there ended the first Instagram lesson. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, I think it is helpful, actually.
I tried to keep it simple.
And you're going to send me over your notes?
I am, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, word of the week then.
You go first?
Adjustment, brackets, time to.
I've got a bracket for mine this week.
It's a bracket week, right? Because I realised that I came back from Greece and I actually felt quite exhausted, even though it was a short trip. And I think it's just around the emotional adjustment to being in a different place. I've mentioned before that I get quite anxious for quite a long time and can't sleep very well. I'm not having that problem here, except it's very noisy with the seagulls on the main road, but which I'm not used to, of course. But the bed feels safe and the flat feels safe, so I feel quite safe. But I think there's just an emotional adjustment time that has to be factored in.
I totally agree.
Amazing. I've noticed it, really. I must be getting on a bit. What's your bracket?
Well, my word is invitation and my bracket is offer. So typically the expression that I use is, offer your offerings to clients like a plate of biscuits and not be offended if they don't want it. And one of my clients came up with a word that she uses, which is invitation. So rather than selling to or promoting or offering, she thinks of it as extending an invitation, which I think is a rather nice use of the word.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it takes away all the... It takes away all the emotional charge from it, doesn't it?
Exactly. It doesn't mean you failed to make a sale. It means that somebody said, somebody took you up on your invitation, somebody else didn't.
Yeah. Very good. So, project updates then. I've heard a rumour that New and Noteworthy hasn't been updated for months, and we know that we know that What's Hot wasn't updated for months, and now we've started moving. Okay. And everyone is speculating about how iTunes actually does this. Is there an algorithm? Is it automated? Is there some little bloke in a cellar somewhere thinking, they seem to be doing quite well this week, let's give them a boost. So I don't know relevant the iTunes choice. That's one less thing we can.
That's actually quite annoying That's actually quite annoying in a way, because actually, if you're podcasting on iTunes, but what you're saying is they're not investing in anything that would encourage the podcaster, that's a bit annoying.
Yeah, it's all a bit vague generally, isn't it? And because there's quite a lot of discussion about how to get your thing into new and noteworthy. Because obviously I've just launched Nicola Cairncross podcast, audio and video versions, and neither of them have got into new and noteworthy. But I feel a lot better about it now that I know new and noteworthy hasn't changed for anyone. And one person said, "Well, I've been in it for 6 months, and you're only supposed to be in it for 16 weeks." So. So he's quite happy about that. Yeah. And someone else said, "Well, I was in it, and then I dropped out, and now they've, I wish it had all frozen when I was still in there, because, it's only about 20 or 30 people get shown in new and noteworthy, and so it obviously brings you quite a lot of exposure." Yeah. But
and we're saying not updated for how long? Are we saying?
Well, months apparently, according to the people who are watching it. With any, I just thought we'd just skim down and see where we are just for fun. Yeah, we're still 99's 81.
It's R&D 81.
81. So it's 81, 80, 79, 78, 77. Yeah, we're still 77. Okay, so coming back to the browser, I'm not sure if Libsyn is going to be a cheery site. I looked midweek and it looked a bit depressing.
Oh, okay.
So brace yourself.
I'm braced.
Do you use LastPass for passwords?
Yeah. No.
I've got such a complicated password. I usually have to have 3 attempts to type it in, which is a bit irritating. Oh, there we go. So, 10 days. Ooh, tiny bit down.
Yeah.
1 month. Ooh, tiny bit down.
Yeah.
3 months.
Up.
Quite strongly up, yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, we could do a support from our listeners, couldn't we?
Well, I'm not worried.
No, I'm not worried either. No, not at all, no. It's just, it would be nice to see an upward trend rather than a slightly downward trend.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
But that's, 3 months, it's on its up. Because we've come out of that phase where that huge 650 download day. Yeah.
Thank heavens. And there have been some quite nice big spikes in there. What's that one there? 200, nearly 200, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it's just time to remind our listeners that every share is a share that will help us keep going, because the only things we do this for really is you guys, because you love it so much, and we have fun doing it. And so in order to keep going and doing it, we need sharings. That's our raison d'etre is to be shared.
Yes. If our raving fans could rave, that would be great.
Yeah, the more they could rave, the better. That'd be lovely to as many people as possible. Good. Okay, that's that then. Who or what's impressed?
Some good people. Good people are what impressed me this week. 2 sorts of good people. People who find the ability to stick at things. I'm going to write a blog post about that. But people who turn up cheerfully in the service industry. I had my car, eventually I found the garage.
Oh, yes.
My car, and it passed with flying colours first time, which was great. But the garage was people with middle-aged men in boiler suits who were jolly, and new gardener, cleaner, handyman, the man from BT, the carpet man, jobs we wouldn't want to do necessarily, but they do them with pride and they do them cheerfully. I'm thankful they exist, and I just love their version of the world where, okay, they're manual-ish jobs, but they do a satisfying day's work for a satisfying day's pay, and there's no moaning. Good people. I've met a lot of good people in the last 10 days, and they've cheered me up.
Yeah. Well, I've been immersed back in the life of the teens. So, they're not just Phoebe and Nelson, but they're friends as well. And it's fascinating because some of them are going off to university. Some of them are learning to scuba dive in Israel. They're all doing such wildly various things. Some are working in ski resorts. Some are, as I say, at university all around the country. It's fascinating. And watching them emerging from their chrysalises is just so interesting. On a personal level, Nelson's he set up I gave him my microphone that I used to use, the heavy studio one, and he's just written the lyrics for and actually created his first rap tune. Yes. I'll send you the link so that anyone who is remotely interested in anyone's first rap tune could go and have a listen.
Okay.
It's but I was just, he locked himself in his bedroom for 2 days and he said, I'm going to have a go at this. I'm going to, and his lyrics were quite interesting. So it's like writing a poem, but then it's not just writing a poem that has the rhythm of a poem. You then have to fit the rhythm to the beats of the music. And I was really quite impressed with him. But the thing I loved about it was the fearlessness. He had no qualms about doing his first ever rap and putting it proudly on SoundCloud, where he could get some quite, if people don't like it, they're going to give you some honest feedback on it.
Yes.
So
you're going to give me a link. You're going to give me a link to that.
I am.
You promised me quite a lot of stuff today.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Don't worry. I've got it all written down, so I'll go through it. And then Phoebe was invited by my sister Heather to go off and film behind the scenes. Heather really enjoyed the bridal video underwear shoot Phoebe did, where it was behind the scenes of a bridal underwear shoot. And so Heather invited her as a paid gig to go and film behind the scenes of Dee Palmer, who used to be in Jethro Tull. And she is creating her latest new album, which is much awaited because, she hasn't done one for a long time. And so Phoebe went off to a beautiful house near Arundel, and she got on a train with all of her camera equipment. Heather picked her up, and she was behind the scenes very discreetly, apparently, filming all sorts of aspects of it. They had 3 or 4 top quality world-class classical singers doing the backing, including Heather. They were in a proper studio, and Phoebe had never seen any of this before. It was a complete eye-opener to her that people are out there earning a living from doing this kind of creative work. Heather said she behaved rather marvellously. Then they actually did a interview of Dee talking about why she'd been inspired to create this album. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does with it. And so is Heather. She said, I don't want to give her any direction. I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does in terms of background music and, the shots she uses and all of that. So it's all good. And she earned some money for it, which is lovely.
Yay!
It's always good.
it's definitely the icing on the cake, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah, absolutely. So that's it. That's it for this week, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are done. Lovely. Okay. I'll see you same time, same place next week then.
All right, babe. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Gotta take it on my way. It's a brand new day.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.